Okay, so now I can give you the full rundown like I told you I'd give you today in a video. Um, Now, your main problem was what's in this, or should I say the gasket that covers this area up, called a valve cover gasket. That was the original source of your problem, and it was the worst thing when I checked it. Uh, it's what lets all this oil out. It's why all this has been so dirty. Like even the outside that was on it was so dirty. That's how you know when that's going bad and that was getting ignored. But normally that won't explain a like a coolant problem. But in yours, there was an unusual exception, something I've never seen before. This is a coolant line here. In fact, it's one that comes off your turbo. Yep, goes in right there. And of course, there's gasket material in there as part of the valve cover gasket to keep that coolant going in there. See, the coolant does have to get in the block, but it doesn't need to be in the valve cover. And I've usually, in almost any engine I've worked on, I've never seen it go in there. Usually they'll find a way to work it in a crossover going to the block, or I've seen a lot of Fords, they'll do a crossover the intake manifold where the coolant can go in the block, and so it never goes to the valve cover. And yours it does, and the valve cover is known for going bad on these, but I mean any valve cover would go out by 140,000 miles. And when I took it off, the one that was in there was clearly original. Like it had full gaps in places, full chunks missing, and just hard and brittle. And then you can see little discolorations. Might be a little harder to see in the sun, although you'll see them real bad on this. Like this is the milkiness I talked about, where it kind of almost turns the coolant or the oil like a milky like color. It was really getting to these VVT solenoids, since it was coming from right here, hitting around in here. You can see some of that discoloration around the cam. It was spraying around in this area, and this area does allow a little bit of mixing of fuel and oil. That's normal, but there's not supposed to be any coolant getting in there, and that's why it was mixing with your oil, and why it was even coming out of your exhaust, like the smoke, but not showing any of the signs of a failed head gasket. And then all that burning, all the oil coming off and burning around here. Now the outside of the turbo, you thought it looked burned, but that is actually pretty normal. Like there's the catalytic converter that connects to it. Exhaust always does usually look brown like that after it's used. That's normal. So the coloration wasn't a concern, but one thing that is a big concern, you can see in here, yeah, right there, you see it go all the way down. This is actually starting to crack wide open. So that's damage it's not supposed to have. It was caused by the heat. And whoever replaced this before, there's supposed to be a gasket here and a gasket here, and they both weren't there. Thankfully, those come with the new one, so all that's gonna be fixed up. So, yeah, this was failed, but what your original problem was, that was being blatantly ignored by the previous owner in the dealership, was this, and that's what led to the destruction of that. Now, if you take care of this like you're supposed to, you should never have to fix that again. And as far as taking care of this like you're supposed to, you don't have to do it real often, like an oil change, nothing just real frequent. But once you put about, say, 50,000 miles on it, come another one of these, and doing just that job, we can have you out of here for probably less than 300 bucks, instead of, where you're spending well over $1,000 in this one. But that's basically what happened. This was just ignored for a long time, to the point where the oil was getting outside, burning things up, and the coolant was, again, that was what was throwing me so much. It was getting spilled from here, and I've just never seen an engine where it's designed to go in this way. And this was the worst part of the gasket too. Like this black stuff is just gasket material I'm just going to have to kind of scrape off to get this smooth again for the new one. That's how bad this leak was. So that was the main source of your problem, was just them ignoring this for pretty much the existence of the car until you got it.